Imagine stepping into a breathtaking garden just after sunrise. Dragon fruit vines climb toward the golden light. Brilliant marigolds add bursts of color between the rows, and fresh herbs release their natural fragrance into the morning air. It looks like a peaceful paradise, but behind this beauty lies a fascinating strategy for growing plants together. This kind of garden is more than just a place to grow food. It is a living space where beauty, productivity, and nature come together. Dragon fruit, marigolds, and fresh herbs may look completely different, but when they are grown together with the right planning, they can create a beautiful and productive garden that provides fruit, flowers, herbs, and even a healthier environment for other plants. In this video, we are going to explore how these three types of plants compare, what makes each one special, how much care they need, and how you can combine them to create a farmer's dream garden. Let's start with dragon fruit, the dramatic centerpiece of this garden. Dragon fruit is a climbing cactus that prefers warm conditions, plenty of sunlight, and well-drained soil. Unlike many traditional fruit plants, it does not need a huge amount of water, but it does need good support because mature plants can become large and heavy. A strong concrete post, wooden structure, or specially designed trellis can allow the stems to climb upward and spread naturally. One of the biggest advantages of dragon fruit is that once the plant becomes established, it can produce fruit repeatedly under suitable conditions. The flowers are also spectacular. Large white flowers can open at night, creating one of the most beautiful moments in a tropical garden. Compared with marigolds and herbs, dragon fruit requires more structural planning because it needs a support system, but once established, it can become the long-term star of the garden. Now compare that with marigolds. Marigolds are much smaller, faster growing, and easier to manage. They are grown mainly for their colorful flowers, which can range from yellow to golden orange and deeper shades depending on the variety. While dragon fruit gives the garden a strong vertical structure, marigolds create a bright carpet of color around the lower level. They are especially useful for attracting beneficial insects and adding visual beauty to vegetable and herb gardens. Marigolds also have a reputation among gardeners for being useful companion plants, although they should not be considered a magic pest control solution. Their real value is that they are easy to grow, bloom for a long period under good conditions, and make the garden look lively. Compared with dragon fruit, marigolds need far less space and much less structural support, making them perfect for filling empty areas around the garden. Then we come to fresh herbs, the practical part of our dream garden. Herbs such as basil, mint, coriander, parsley, lemongrass, rosemary, or other locally suitable herbs can transform a garden from something beautiful into something useful every day. Unlike dragon fruit, which may take time to establish before giving a meaningful harvest, many herbs can provide leaves relatively quickly. Basil loves sunlight and regular moisture, while mint grows vigorously when it has enough moisture and can spread rapidly, so keeping mint in a container can sometimes make management easier. Coriander prefers cooler conditions than some warm-season herbs, which means gardeners may need to adjust the planting season depending on their climate. This is where herbs become different from both dragon fruit and marigolds. Instead of waiting mainly for fruit or flowers, you can often harvest small amounts of fresh leaves regularly and use them in everyday cooking. When we compare the three, dragon fruit is the long-term investment. Marigolds are the colorful garden companion, and herbs are the everyday harvest. Dragon fruit generally needs the most planning because of its support structure and space requirements. Marigolds are among the simplest plants to add and can quickly transform the appearance of a garden. Herbs offer the most frequent small harvests because their leaves can often be picked as needed. In other words, dragon fruit gives height and long-term productivity. Marigolds give color and biodiversity, and herbs provide practical kitchen value. Instead of choosing only one, a well-planned garden can use all three to create different layers of growth. But creating this garden successfully is not simply about putting every plant in the same place. The first step is understanding sunlight. Dragon fruit generally performs best with plenty of sunlight, so it should be positioned where it will not be heavily shaded by buildings or large trees. Marigolds can also perform well in sunny locations, while many herbs have their own preferences. A garden with several hours of direct sunlight can therefore support all three categories, but the exact requirements depend on the individual herb and the local climate. Good drainage is equally important, especially for dragon fruit. Heavy, constantly wet soil can create serious problems for a cactus-type plant. Raised beds, sandy or otherwise well-draining soil, and careful watering can help create better conditions. Watering is another major difference between these plants. Dragon fruit should not be treated like a thirsty, leafy vegetable. Its roots need moisture, but they also need air and good drainage, so excessive watering can be harmful. Marigolds need more regular moisture while they are establishing, but they also perform better when the soil is not constantly saturated. Herbs vary considerably. Basil and coriander generally appreciate consistent moisture, while Mediterranean herbs such as rosemary prefer drier, well-drained conditions once established. This means that the smartest garden design may place plants with similar water needs together, rather than giving the entire garden the exact same watering schedule. Soil fertility is another area where balance matters. A garden containing herbs and flowering plants benefits from healthy soil rich in organic matter, while dragon fruit needs a medium that drains well rather than simply holding as much water as possible. Compost or well-decomposed organic material can improve soil structure, but fertilizer should be used according to the plant's needs. Too much fertilizer does not automatically mean faster or better growth. Healthy plants need the right balance of nutrients, sunlight, water, and air. Regularly adding organic matter, removing damaged plant material, and keeping the garden clean can help maintain a productive growing environment. One of the most beautiful ways to arrange this garden is to think vertically. Place dragon fruit along the back or center of the garden, where its climbing stems can rise above everything else. In front of it, create colorful groups of marigolds. Around suitable areas, plant herbs that remain accessible for regular harvesting. This creates three visual levels: dragon fruit rising above the garden, marigolds filling the middle and lower spaces with bright flowers, and herbs creating a dense layer of fresh green leaves. The result is not only productive, but also visually attractive. A small garden can even follow the same principle using a compact dragon fruit support, containers of herbs, and borders of marigolds. There is also an important lesson here about biodiversity. A garden does not need to look like a single crop farm to be productive. Different plants can attract different insects, create different structures, and occupy different spaces. Flowering marigolds can provide resources for pollinators and beneficial insects, while the dense greenery of herbs can create additional habitat. Dragon fruit flowers can also attract pollinators, depending on the local environment and species. By growing several types of plants instead of relying entirely on one crop, the garden becomes a more diverse ecosystem. However, gardeners should still monitor for pests and diseases, because diversity does not make a garden completely pest-free. Harvesting is where the garden becomes especially rewarding. When dragon fruit begins producing mature fruit, the transformation is remarkable. The colorful fruits stand out against the green cactus stems, creating a harvest that looks almost too beautiful to be real. Marigolds can be enjoyed repeatedly as flowers remain fresh and new blooms appear, while herbs can be harvested in small quantities throughout their productive period. The important principle is to harvest correctly. Pick herbs regularly, but avoid removing too much plant material at once. Remove fading flowers from many marigold varieties if appropriate to encourage continued blooming. And for dragon fruit, harvest fruit when it has reached the proper stage of maturity rather than simply picking it as soon as it changes color. The real beauty of this combination is that every plant serves a different purpose. Dragon fruit can provide an impressive fruit harvest and a dramatic structure. Marigolds bring warmth, color, and life to the garden. Fresh herbs bring fragrance and useful ingredients directly from the soil to the kitchen. One plant reaches upward, another spreads color across the garden, and the herbs fill the spaces between them. Together, they create something much more interesting than a garden filled with only one crop. And perhaps that is what makes a farmer's dream garden so special. It does not have to be enormous, expensive, or perfectly organized. It simply needs thoughtful planning. Give dragon fruit strong support and excellent drainage. Give marigolds sunlight and enough room to grow. Choose herbs that match your climate and provide them with the water and soil conditions they actually need. Keep an eye on pests, prune when necessary, remove unhealthy growth, and harvest regularly. Most importantly, observe your garden. Every season teaches you something new about sunlight, soil, rainfall, insects, and the plants themselves. So, if dragon fruit is the long-term star, marigolds are the colorful guardians of the garden, and fresh herbs are the everyday kitchen harvest, which one would you grow first? The best answer may be all three. With a little planning, these very different plants can come together to create a garden that produces food, flowers, fragrance, and beauty throughout the growing season. And when you finally walk through that garden in the early morning, seeing dragon fruit climbing above bright marigolds while fresh herbs release their fragrance beneath them, you may realize that a farmer's dream garden is not simply about growing more plants. It is about creating a small, living ecosystem that gives something back every single day. Thanks for watching.